A new school year is getting underway, but that doesn't always mean children returning to the classroom. In fact, the majority of the nation's large school districts have opted for remote learning instead. Some parents are taking things into their own hands, forming what are known as pandemic pods. They're a version of homeschooling for small groups of children, sometimes led by teachers or tutors. But as more companies pop up to organize these pods, a debate is brewing about equity. Meg Oliver reports.
Okay, remember you can use adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, whatever you want.
All summer in this quiet backyard under a canopy of trees, these 4 students have tackled math, English, and social studies 3 days a week.
So thinking back through your entire summer, what was like the most awesome part of it?
This private education pod in Larchmont, New York is just one of many popping up across the country. 10-year-old Bianca Arancibia is going into 5th grade.
It helps me because I have much more attention than I do in regular school.
Yeah? And do you like coming to your pod?
I love it.
When school shut down last spring, Bianca's mom, Julia, couldn't keep up with the stressful demands of remote learning with 3 kids.
I found it really challenging to go from physics with the older one to, tapping out sounds to learn how to read for the kindergartner. It was 2 very different sets of skills.
Did you feel like you were treading water at times?
That's how I felt the whole time.
She turned to Schoolhouse, a service that matches families with teachers for in-home education.
I think it's safe to say we hit our 5-year business goals in about 5 months.
Co-founder Joseph Connor launched the company in January. With 8 students in a pod, the cost is about $14,000 per child per year.
How is this different than homeschooling?
So it's different because we provide professional teachers. We recruit them from all over the country. A lot of them come from private and charter schools. Generally, our teachers can make anywhere from 10 to 20% more than what the local average salary is.
It's an attractive model for parents, but one that could lead to fewer students in local school districts and less funding for the children left behind.
Our schools are more diverse than they have ever been, but they're still segregated. Our pods have an opportunity, unfortunately, to become even more segregated.
LaRue Lewis McCoy is a New York University sociologist who studies educational inequality. He worries about vulnerable communities, including the estimated 17 million kids without high-speed internet access at home.
The families that have more money are actually creating boutique, almost private school environments for their children. The danger in that is that as these children move far ahead, that many of their classmates and many of the people who will later be comparing them to as they apply to college, their life looks very different.
It's something entrepreneur Kate Hahn says is on her mind.
We have no interest in taking funding away from schools. We want to work with them, and in fact, we've reached out to a number of schools in my local school district. For example,
Hahn and Doug Schachtel, both co-founders of Pricey New York Private Schools, teamed up for a company called Learning Pods.
Over the summer, we decided, we need to have a way to bring joy to kids. So the idea of having summer pods where you have a small group of kids meeting with camp counselor who brings curriculum with them, and they meet in a family's backyard, and that was really successful.
The company kicks off its fall program later this month. Parents of kids in kindergarten through 4th grade can expect to pay around $15,000 for the academic year.
How are you looking to make this affordable for everybody?
So a part of every tuition goes towards financial aid. In addition, we're working with foundations and personal donations to feed that same financial aid fund.
A good start, but not enough to go around for the many children in need, says Lewis McCoy.
The magnitude of disadvantage that public schools deal with cannot be compensated for with private partnership. Families have to do things sometimes like reach across socioeconomic lines. You may have to cross a neighborhood. You may have to talk to a family that you haven't spoken to before. But if you do that work, we begin the process of inclusion.
Do you feel like this could be the wave of the future as we, try to navigate through this pandemic?
Absolutely. So we really think that this is not just a solution for the present. We think that this is the best way for teachers to teach and students to learn. We're also working with some philanthropic groups to make sure that we have sponsor pods, and we're actually also trying to work with some state governments on offering these pods through government programs.
A complex problem that many parents are thinking about, including Julia Arancibia.
I think it's a horrible situation. I wish it weren't the case. And I think that, at the end of the day, I need to do whatever I can for my children. And frankly, if I can keep my children at grade level, then they won't need services that can go to another child. So by taking care of my children and their needs, in some ways, it's helping everybody.
For CBS This Morning Saturday, Meg Oliver, Larchmont, New York.
One of the 2 million issues created by coronavirus in schools, and we've talked about this as parents about how each district is handling things differently. It's tough.
Yeah, and I understand. You want to do everything you can for your child, but that economic divide just hits at me in a way that seems so unfair.
Right, the appeal is definitely there. As a parent, you can understand the need and the desire to do this, but $14,000, that just seems incredibly out of reach for so many people.
And again, the have-nots have even less right now during the pandemic.